Okay, thanks for joining me in today's build. We are starting our toolbox. This is our cube style toolbox, and we're going to be designing the bottom and blueprinting out the bottom. And this is to be made out of a 14.5 by 11-inch piece of sheet metal. And so let's get started. I'm just going to start here with a new file. Okay. And we're going to be working in our modeling space. This is AutoCAD 2023 right now that I have. And one of the tools that I'm going to use in this exercise is the rectangle. So we haven't used that yet in our class, but this is the essence of how it works. I'm going to drag my rectangle out. I click on the first box as my starting place. Now you can see as I drag across, I have a box on the top with numbers that are changing that's highlighted in white and blue. That's where I'm going to type my dimension for my length, which was 14.5 or 14.5. Now, don't hit enter on your keyboard, just hit tab. You want to get to the second measurement, with our height. So when I hit tab, that locked in the length, but now I can still do my height, and my height is going to be 11 inches. So I type in 11 and enter. So once again, I just did rectangle, specify my first point. I just did down here somewhere, drug over, typed in 14.5, tab, and then 11, enter, and it gave me my box. Okay. Now we need to put in a 1/2 inch border around the top and bottom, which are going to become our tabs, and on the right hand side, which is going to be our hem. So we're going to do that using our offset tool. Let me just turn on my little mouse highlighter so it might be easier to follow. I'm going to use my offset tool here, which looks kind of like a distorted C. And now you'll notice when I go to offset this line, okay, let me click on it one more time. It's asking the distance, and that's going to be a 1/2 inch. So I can do my fraction if I want, 1/2. Enter. And now it's asking me, what do I want to offset? So I'm going to click on my line here, and I can drag it inside or outside. I want to drag it inside because we don't change the size of our sheet metal. Okay. And that gives me a whole box. So that's a little different than when I did the rectangle and I had to go and offset each individual side when we drew this out line by line by line. All right. Now, the biggest thing is when I want to offset, I need to get rid of this line here. There is no line, there's no hem, there's no tabs on this side. This is where our hinge is going to get mounted. But if I click here and I hit delete, you notice I have grips around the whole thing. It's highlighting the whole inside circle and deleting everything. I don't want to do that. I want to just get rid of this line. So before I can do anything, what I have to do is I have to explode this box. There's no explode tool in our toolbar that we have right now. So what we're going to do, just as an easy way to explode this without having to dig into a whole bunch of other menus, we're just going to type the command explode. You can just start typing on your keyboard, and as you start typing EXP, you'll notice that it pops up and refines. Now it's the top one, the top suggestion. The icon looks like a 3D box that's being blown up, and you'll notice that what that does is it separates the lines and their components separately. So now it's asking me, what objects do I want to explode? And in reality, I want to do both of these. So please select one, and it says down here, one object found. Then I'm going to do the inside one as well, 2 objects found in total. And I hit enter on my keyboard and enter a second, and then I can hit escape. So now I can verify that the object is exploded by clicking on just one item, and it doesn't have the grips around the entire box. I can hit escape a couple times and do that on the other one. Yes, so that's working. What we want to do now is get rid of this box. So click on it and hit delete on your keyboard. Okay. And we can extend these over. Either you can click on them and drag, as long as your polar tracking's on, so it gives you that green line, you know that you are accurate. Or remember we can go up under our trim tool, we have extend. And if I hover here on this line, let me try this one more time. If I hover on that line, it will extend the line out to there, and then I can hit escape. So either way, we want to have these go to the edge there. Now, if we look, we have, we need to start identifying where our folds are going to go on our box. So this first fold, which represents the back of our box, okay, we're going to fold that up at 1 inch. We only need about 1 inch hanging out there on the back. So I'm going to use my offset tool. I think it's one of the easiest tools for this. So I'm going to offset. I have to click on it and hit 1, enter. Okay. Now what am I offsetting? I'm going to offset this left border to the inside and hit enter. Now I'm still in offset mode. It's asking me the object I want to offset. I'm going to click on it a second time. But now, before I solidify this in, my next offset is going to be 5.5. So I can do 5.5, or I'll do hit enter. Okay. And I'm also going to do 5.5 for this one. So now I'm going to go offset. I'm going to click on this one. And now I can do 5.5 again. So I can do 5 dash 1/2 if I want to do it as a fraction. Remember, you do need a dash in there. Don't hit spacebar because that will be like enter and confirm it. All right, we want to pause for a second here before we get too carried away. And also before we do our notches in here, in order to do a little dimensioning. This will let you verify that your drawing is on the right track and that your dimensions match. Okay, so grab your dimension tool here, and we're going to start by dimensioning corner to corner, and it should be 14.5. Okay, I don't want these in decimals. I want them in fractions because we're going to be using our fractional ruler to lay it out on your sheet metal. So I'm going to go into my annotations, change this to my dimension style, which is this icon. Click on it. We're going to go over here to modify, open up your modify menu, change your primary units from decimal to fractional, and hit OK. And I'm going to go set as current, so everything in my scene should be changed to that, and hit close. If it doesn't change, then you may need to make some adjustments and just delete it and try drawing your dimensions again. So let's dimension this side now from this corner to this corner and drag that out. That's 11. And I'm going to go on the inside here from this line, drag my mouse over and click on the second line. That's 1 inch. Okay. And from this line, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on this line. That's 5.5. I can line it up by going right here on the X. Okay. And let's check this one. This should be 5.5 also. So I can zoom in and lock my mouse right there. And we're going to go from this line to here. Where did it go? This line. Specify the dimensions. Let me try it again. Maybe it, nope. It didn't like that one. Let's try it. Here it's giving me 10. I want to get rid of this. It might be grabbing the dimensioning line instead of the actual line. So I'm going to go from 1 to 2. That's okay. And now I'm just going to line it up as best as I can. All right. And we should do the 1/2 inch here as well, so we don't forget. So then I'm going to go 1 to 2 and then line it up here and there. All right, so I have 1/2 inch. So everything going across is labeled. My 11 inches going up and down is labeled. And while we're here, let's do my top side here. This is going to be on my tab. It's going to be typical, so I don't need to do it on both. And the last thing that we're going to do, so we don't forget, I'm going to go up and I'm going to go save. We're going to go to find, if you're doing this at school, at my school, we're going to find our M drive, which is our drive which follows us around on our server, and find your metals. And I have mine in a sheet metal. plan, and I'm going to call this bottom of my cube style toolbox. Bottom of cube toolbox. Okay. We're going to have the sides and the top as well later on, but here is the bottom. Next thing I want to do, I'm going to put my name on it so that when I turn it in, I don't forget. So I'm just going to put Mr. K on mine. Okay, put your name on yours. And it doesn't have to be huge, it just needs to be there. And we are ready to do our notches. So let's get our notches done. We're going to use our line tool, but before we do this, we want to set up our computer a little different. We're going to use our polar tracking, and it's probably set on 90. So if you go over here, which is the round dial with a pizza wedge cut out of it, or an angle out of it, pull the arrow, the drop down arrow next to it, and go from this 90 to turn on that we want it to go 45. Now, our polar tracking is where it gives you the green dash line. So I'm going to draw from this intersection a line up, and notice how now at a 45-degree angle, it gives me a lock for this. I don't need to have it go past this line. I'm going to have it dead end here. I'm going to drag my mouse back. I still have the green line. I'm going to find that intersecting point and click. Escape out of the line, grab the line tool again, grab it again, and give me this green line, drag it back at the intersection, and click. Now, I don't want to have to do that over and over again. I want to make this faster and a little bit more lazier to make. So I'm going to use my copy tool. So first thing, I'm going to clean this up. So grab my trim tool again and cut some of these extra things out of here. Okay, so they're not in the way. Hit escape. And we're going to copy. We haven't done this yet, but it's very easy. I'm going to click on the first wedge that I'm going to do and the second one. Down here it says it found 2 total wedges or 2 total objects. Now I hit enter because I have my object selected. It says my base point. I want the base of my V to be my end point or my base point. So I click here. Now I just drag this over, and you'll notice it's giving me a V that it's dragging over here. I do 1 here. I'm going to do 1 here. Okay, if you have to zoom in, you can. And I'm actually going to do another one here, even though on this one, I only need the left-hand side. Okay, I don't need the right. But I'm going to escape out of there. We're going to clean this up real quick. So grab your trim tool, 1, 2, trim these out, trim this out, trim this out. And we're going to repeat the same process down here on the bottom. We are almost done with this, so just hold on 1 second. All right, so we're just going to do the same thing down here on the bottom. I already have my polar tracking turned on. So let me zoom in to here. I'm going to do a line, grab my line tool, right? My first point is this intersection, and I'm going to go this way. It locks it into 45. I drag it back at the intersection, and I need to escape. So I can either hit escape on my keyboard, or I can right click and go enter. Grab a second line here, drag it down, get it to lock on that green, bring it back, get my cross hatch or cross point here and click and enter. Now, trim this out. I'm going to go 1 and 2 and escape. And we are going to copy and paste these across. So here is copy. I select object 1. I select object 2. It found 2 down here. I hit enter. My base point is the base of this upside down V. I click over here to get the intersecting point 1, 2, 3 as well. All right, let's clean these up here real quick. So grab your trim tool, trim 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's trim you out and you out. Now we have to attach this hem that we're going to fold over, and that has an 1/8 of an inch cut back so that when we fold it, it doesn't hit the sides here. So how do we do that? Grab your line tool. This is just going to be a spacer line that we put in here. We want to extend this 1 over here using your green dash polar tracking. I'm going to go down this direction an 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to type in 1/8, hit enter. And then I'm going to go back here and complete the triangle just like so and hit escape to get out of your tool. Okay, so while we're here, it's going to be easiest for me to dimension this while I still have this triangle here. So I could grab my dimension tool. I can dimension it from here to here because we want to show that this is a 1/8 relief. Okay, that I'm bringing this down to cut it at an eighth. Once I have that dimensioned, then I can grab my trim tool. I'm going to trim this and this. I may have to cut this twice. Okay, and that shows a little dot here showing that my dimension is kind of an extension of this. Now, the other thing that I can do, let's say I had already trimmed that out, instead of drawing it back in there, I'm going to just get rid of this so that you can show that it's not a big deal either way. I'm going to grab my dimension tool. Remember, it's supposed to be 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to zoom in so I can see. I go here to here, okay? From corner to corner. I don't want to click on the line. I want to go from corner to corner, and it's showing me a 1/2 inch. Don't worry about that. Ignore that for now. I'm going to drag my mouse down and over to the right. When I get far enough, it's telling it, I don't want this measurement. I want this measurement. Okay. And we're also going to do that same 2 clicks to go up and get the 1/2 inch on there as well. But for now, I'm going to drag this over, get the 1/8 inch, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab here and here. Okay, I'm going to bring it up. And you know what? We don't even have to do the 1/2 inch. But if I didn't put it down here, I would put it up here, and that would be fine. So let's see. What do we have dimensioned? We have most of the things in here already drawn and dimensioned. We need to draw our extra relief cut down here, which is the 1/8 inch. So remember, we're going to do it the exact same way. Grab your line tool, bring it over, use your polar tracking to have a green line. When it's dashed, click. That's just a temporary line. I'm going to bring my mouse up to get polar tracking again, and I'm going to type in 1/8. If you want to do it as a decimal, you can do it as 0.125. That works as well. And I have my line tool attached 1/8 of an inch above this intersection. I drag this back down to create my cut line, and I can hit escape and enter. All right, I don't need to dimension this because I already have it dimensioned on the top side, and it is typical, but I do need to trim it up. So 1, 2, and 3, and I have to do this twice because I did a second overlay of a line on there. All right, we have everything cleaned up on our drawing. Okay, we have all of our folds marked here, our hems here, and our tabs here. We haven't labeled anything, but that's fine. And what we want to do 2 more things, and we haven't demonstrated this yet, but we want to mark our angles here. So I'm going to go grab my dimension tool, and this, I'll show you, we want to zoom in enough that we can highlight this line here. You don't want any green box. So I don't want this green box. If you have midpoint turned on, you don't want midpoint. Just grab it somewhere in the middle. There's my first one. Don't worry about 11/16. I'm going to go over here to my second line. What I'm looking for is an angle. Okay, so this is saying 90 degrees. I pull this out enough that it looks good and easy to read for me and shows that this notch is going to be 90 degrees. That's going to let us know that we can use our corner notcher for this. Now, how does that line up with the edge of our part? We're going to mark on another one over here, the angle. So I can go from here to here, and we want to tell whoever's making this box that this is going to be a 45-degree angle from there to there. Okay, so you can do it here on the inside or the outside, but that should be okay like that. Okay, line it up however you want. If you don't like it lined up there, you can click and bring it down here. Okay, or whatever you like that you think is going to look best and to help you remember. So I'm going to do mine, I think, right here. And we are ready to export as a PDF. I have my overall dimensions. I have my folds going this way. This is typical, so I have 1/2 inch here. I don't need to mark it here. I have my name. Now, we can go into layout mode. We haven't done that. We've gone back and forth between model and paper, right? Maybe even before we go in there, you can turn your grid off right away. You turn that off so it doesn't show up. But you can only turn the grid on and off when it says model here. You can also use these tabs on the left-hand side. I can go from model to my layout page and back to model over here. Okay, so that might be just more convenient as well. We can bring these out here a little bit when you're in paper mode. We don't even have to go as far as we did in our last exercise, but maybe leave a ½ inch, an inch margin or something on there. And if I go back into model mode and I use my zoom to extents, that auto zooms it for me and I don't have to change anything. All right, that looks good. The print layout looks good. We are ready to export as a PDF, so you can turn this in and also send it to the printer. So I go up to my AutoCAD box, drag down to export, go to PDF, and this is where I'm going to give it a name and a location. So I'm going to change it from probably downloads to my M drive. Go into your metals folder, click and call it bottom of your cube toolbox. Bottom of toolbox is fine. Something so you and I both know what it's called so I can grade it. Hit save. You are going to go into Google Classroom or into the program we're using at the time and upload it and attach it so that I can grade it. All right, thank you for joining me in today's project, and we look forward to seeing the hands-on build that will be coming up soon. See you in the next one.